Welcome to AI Dispatch, your channel for the latest AI videos on YouTube. If you don't want to miss these updates, please like, subscribe, and share. Today's video comes from the diary of a CEO. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi delivers a forecast that dismantles conventional assumptions about AI's role in the workforce. He rejects the popular framing of AI as a collaborative tool and instead predicts direct replacement of 80% of human labor. His position includes specific claims: companies will purchase GPUs rather than expand payroll, and universal basic income fails as a policy solution. His analysis challenges foundational assumptions about employment, economic structure, and the source of human purpose. Dara Khosrowshahi presents a scenario where solving a labour shortage requires purchasing electricity and semiconductors rather than recruiting personnel. He frames this not as speculative futurism, but as an imminent operational reality that fundamentally alters the relationship between capital, labour, and productive capacity. His first major assertion concerns the timeline and scope of AI-driven labour displacement. Silicon Valley typically positions AI as augmentation technology, a copilot that enhances human productivity without eliminating roles. Khosrowshahi dismisses this framing entirely. He states that within 10 years, AI will possess the capability to execute 70 to 80% of tasks currently performed by humans. He structures this forecast across two distinct categories. Intellectual labour, including white-collar professional work, faces displacement within approximately 1 decade. Physical labour, which requires interaction with unpredictable real-world environments, has a slightly extended timeline of 15 to 20 years. His conclusion carries no ambiguity. The majority of existing human economic utility operates on a defined countdown. He then addresses the structural implications for corporate growth strategy. Traditional business expansion follows a clear logic. When employee productivity increases by 25%, firms hire additional personnel to amplify output. Khosrowshahi describes an approaching inflection point where this logic inverts. He suggests that once AI agents reach sufficient sophistication, executives will redirect hiring budgets toward compute infrastructure rather than headcount. His framework treats talent acquisition and hardware procurement as substitutable line items. The decision shifts from evaluating candidates in the labour market to evaluating capacity in the hardware market. Salary expenditures begin migrating toward compute expenditures. The corporation transitions from an organisation of people using tools to a system of autonomous agents powered by electricity. Regarding proposed policy responses to mass unemployment, Khosrowshahi challenges the widely supported concept of universal basic income. Many technologists advocate for UBI as the solution to AI-driven joblessness, provide unconditional income to support those displaced by automation. Khosrowshahi counters this with empirical data. He argues that UBI trials have already demonstrated failure. His objection rests on psychological rather than economic grounds. He contends that employment provides more than financial sustenance. It generates existential purpose. He cites studies comparing groups receiving unconditional income against groups engaged in employment. The data showed worse life outcomes for the non-working cohort. His interpretation: market forces compelling individuals to work do not merely impose economic discipline. They constitute the primary mechanism through which humans derive self-worth. Removing that compulsion does not liberate people. It eliminates the friction necessary for meaning. He frames the approaching crisis not as a problem of poverty, but as a civilization-scale collapse of psychological purpose. This perspective connects to his redefinition of work ethic as a technical competency. Standard interpretations treat work ethic as an innate character trait or lifestyle preference. Khosrowshahi repositions it as a learnable skill comparable to programming or athletic performance. He argues that elite achievement in any domain does not derive from inherent talent. He observes that exceptional intelligence alone does not guarantee success without the trained capacity to sustain effort. He treats the ability to maintain focus and endure discomfort not as a personality attribute, but as a competency requiring deliberate practice. This reframing has significant implications. It transforms perceived laziness from a moral deficiency into a technical skills gap. Khosrowshahi also applies counterintuitive logic to Uber's market expansion strategy. The Jevons paradox states that increasing efficiency in resource use often leads to higher total consumption rather than conservation. Khosrowshahi applies this principle to Uber's business model. Conventional analysis suggests that reducing the price of a luxury service merely captures existing demand at lower margins. He explains that by making black car services radically cheaper and more accessible, the market did not simply become more efficient, it expanded into an entirely different category. The original black car market represented a few $1 billion in total addressable market. Uber achieved exponentially greater scale because he ignored linear projections of taxi usage and focused instead on transaction friction. Eliminating friction did not just service existing demand, it manufactured demand that previously did not exist. This operational philosophy extends to his controversial approach to talent management. Standard corporate practice involves selling a compelling vision to attract top candidates. Companies emphasize culture, work-life balance, and positive work environments. Khosrowshahi employs the inverse strategy. When he assumed leadership of Uber, he explicitly communicated to employees that those unable to handle harsh realities should resign. He prioritizes deterring candidates over attracting them. His logic: CEOs fail not due to poor decision-making, but due to poor information quality. When employees are recruited through aspirational messaging, they feel obligated to provide aspirational feedback to leadership, concealing operational problems. By being transparent about the difficulty and severity of challenges, he filters for personnel incapable of deception. He suggests that high retention rates maintained through comfortable narratives indicate cultural weakness rather than strength. He applies this same disregard for institutional identity to Uber's relationship with the taxi industry. Uber was founded explicitly to disrupt and destroy traditional taxi services. The company's early identity centered on taxis as adversaries. Today, taxis represent one of Uber's fastest growing supply segments. Khosrowshahi ignored the company's ideological origins to pursue network optimization. If the objective is maximizing liquidity and availability, the former enemy becomes simply another supply node. He subordinated corporate identity to marketplace mechanics. Across these positions, a consistent pattern emerges in Khosrowshahi's decision-making framework. He systematically prioritizes system-level efficiency over human sentiment. Whether replacing employees with GPUs, rejecting UBI despite its humanitarian appeal, or treating work ethic as mechanical skill acquisition, he evaluates the world through optimization rather than tradition. The central question his framework raises: if this optimized future materializes according to his projected timeline, can human society reconfigure its mechanisms for deriving meaning at the same velocity he reconfigures business models? If you're interested in the video featured in this episode, click the link below to watch the original.